Hello everyone and welcome to class of Amazon CloudFront. Today in this class we are going to discuss about CloudFront. So what is a CloudFront? CloudFront is basically a web service. We can say this is a global CDN service. CDN as Content Delivery Network, which is a system of distributed server that delivers web pages and other content to users, those who are based on that means users based on their locations. So that means CloudFront quickly distribute user content over a worldwide network of data centers. It increases performance by reducing latency. So it is compliance with HIPAA and PCI DSS, which is Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Assurance and Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. So let's discuss more about CloudFront. So basically, it is a global CDN service, and with the help of this, we are having an easy way to distribute content to end users with low latency, high data transfer speeds, and no minimum usage commitments. So, CDN globally distributed network of caching servers that speed up downloading of web pages and other content. It delivers user content through a worldwide network of data centers known as edge locations. So we have a term over here, we call it as edge locations. Edge locations, that means worldwide network of data centers. So whenever user requests content that is serving to CloudFront, the user is routed to edge location which provide lowest latency. That means we have a very little time delay, so the content is delivered with best possible performance. CDN basically use domain name system. That means we require a geographic location to determine geographic location of each user of the web pages. So Amazon CloudFront, if the content is already in the edge location with lowest latency, it delivers it immediately. Suppose if we don't have content in the edge location, so it will retrieve from S3 bucket or HTTP server, for example any web server. CDN allows to increase scalability of a website or any mobile application easily in response to peak traffic spikes. So it is used to deliver web content using Amazon global network of edge locations. It supports HTTP, HTTPS, HTML files, images, JavaScript, CSS files, audio, video, media files. So that means Amazon CloudFront content delivering, configuring CloudFront to deliver content and how it deliver content to the user. So first let's discuss about configuring CloudFront to deliver content. So very first step that we require are origin servers. That means the server from which CloudFront gets files for distribution. Suppose I want to distribute some files, so CloudFront want to distribute files which is stored in me. So I am the origin servers. So from me, it will distribute to the edge locations all over the world. So we require to configure the origin servers from which CloudFront will take all the data and distribute across the world. So origin server stores the original, definite version of user's object. If the serving content over HTTP, then origin server is either S3 bucket or HTTP server, like any web server. So it will run on EC2 instance. So these servers are also known as custom origins. We call it as custom origins. After defining or after configuration, we require to upload the file on the origin server. Suppose if my origin server is any S3 bucket, so we require to upload some files on the bucket on origin servers. So my files which I have uploaded in a bucket, we call it as objects. The objects could be any web pages, images, media files that can be served over HTTP. And then we require to create a CloudFront distribution of that. So we will create a distribution through any website or application. Let's have a look at these. Suppose this is any Amazon S3 bucket or HTTP server. This is a developer. So first step, it will add some files. It will upload a file, objects. Then it will create a web distribution with the help of CloudFront. It again goes to, and then it will create distribution to the edge locations. So developer S3 bucket on any server, and then we have multiple edge locations. So it will create distribution of your data, whatever you want to distribute across various edge locations. Now let's discuss about how CloudFront deliver content to the users. So we have configured CloudFront to deliver content. Now what happens when user requests for your objects? A user accesses your website or application, so like any image file, or we require HTML file. So domain name server route the request to the CloudFront edge location. So after edge location, the nearest CloudFront edge location in terms of latency, because we require the latency should be less, and it routes the request to particular edge location. Now if my request goes to the edge location, then CloudFront checks it cache, whether this is stored in me in the form of cache or not. Whether requested files are stored in the cache memory or not. Suppose if the files are stored in the cache, so CloudFront returns them to the user. And if files are not stored in the cache, it will have to follow the process. Like it will have to compare the request with your specification in the distribution. Then it has to forward the request for the files to the origin server, and then from the origin server, whatever the response back, so origin server, S3 bucket, or any web server. So after that, it have to fetch the request and the response and then forward it to you. So origin server send files back to the CloudFront edge location. So first byte arrives, CloudFront began to forward to. Whenever first byte of data arrives, it began to forward the files to the users. So then it adds files as a cache, because some other time when you request, so time latency should be less, so that's why it will save your file in the cache. So this is Amazon S3 bucket or HTTP server, any. So here we have a user has type of web address example.com. So this will go request to the edge location. So suppose the object, that means the request, is stored in the cache, so it will return back. And if not, it will forward the request to the origin server and then response back, and then to the user. So this is Amazon CloudFront. That means from this we have various edge locations. So edge location will be near to the user. So maybe this is not near to the user, but edge locations are very near to the user, so that retrieval time will be very much less. So this is basically the introduction of CloudFront. Today we have discussed what CloudFront is, and this is again a part of networking and content delivery, as we have part networking and content delivery. So under content delivery we have a CloudFront, so that we have discussed about its introduction. We will continue with this in our next class. Thank you so much.